good.
Okay, I would like to call to order the meeting of the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board for Tuesday, March 15th, 5 a.m. May we all stand to... PM. Oh, geez. PM. May we all stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here comes Jess.
Try and make everything work here.
I would like to call for a consent of the agenda, but I would like to make one recommendation. Since we have a public here, I'd like to ask that we approve the agenda, but we move the public comment up so that our guests can speak. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to.
Approve the agenda.
Approve the agenda change.
With moving the public up to number 3. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. So by changing the agenda, we will be moving up that the public input, and I just have your sheet. Okay. We have, the public will be speaking in regards to a mural that was presented. The first person speaking, if you would stand and say your name and also state your address.
I'll say where I am here.
No, you would come up on the camera.
County line.
Okay.
I didn't know if I was number 3 or number 2, so.
No, you're number 1.
I'm number 1.
Yes.
Of course.
Much more than I ever expected. Well, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. My name is Elaine Gearing, and I'm a resident of Washington County, so I know that some of my tax money goes to support this library. I'm also, as you can see, a very positive supporter of Slinger Library and a member of Friends of Slinger Library. We're here tonight, as she had mentioned, to address the West Bend Library's handling of a mural project that was created by students who are involved with the local affiliate of NAMI. And NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI is actually the nation's largest grassroots mental illness organization. During the summer of 2021, a group of young artists from NAMI and friends here in West Bend got together with art therapists to create a mural. The idea was to create a piece depicting how youth in our community express diversity, inclusion, and equity. West Bend Library was luckily approached, and the staff agreed that they were willing to display the piece after its completion. Library leaders were communicated with on a regular basis as the project developed. Here we come to the rub. What resulted from the students' work? A 24-foot-long mural filled with vibrant colors that expresses respect for diversity. What resulted from West Bend Library? A retraction of its willingness to support these artists and a retraction of the willingness to display the mural. We believe that public libraries should be the model in our communities for inclusion and respect for diversity. This mural is a creative art piece that sends clear, strong messages of equity, inclusion, and diversity. Turns out we aren't the only ones that believe these are important messages that should be modeled and reinforced by every library and all libraries. As you see from the signs, and there's a cluster of signs there that talk about the American Library Association, a leadership group across the country. Among the core values of the ALA are an open, inclusive, and collaborative environment, and social responsibility and public good. Among the ALA's strategic directions, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Sound familiar? Because they're every single item this mural was focused on. And finally, one of the ALA's 8 action areas, diversity. Why is it that the West Bend Library is so out of step with the American Library Association in addressing these issues? And you may say we're not, but how this mural situation was handled would indicate that you are. On a more personal note, let's take a look at the message that your local library and my local library and our local library sent to these young artists who are already facing challenges, the very same challenges that youth all across the country and in some of our homes are dealing with due to the isolation created by the pandemic. Instead of the messages of rejection and disappointment sent to these young artists by West Bend Library, our signs indicate questions that you might be asking about the messages that should be reinforced for them and reinforced for every individual in our community and who visits your library. My question is, how is the West Bend Library planning to reach out to these young artists, and how will you correct what I believe to be a reprehensible and egregious error? Thank you for your time.
Okay, and the next person is Sue Behrens.
Hi, my name is Sue Behrens, and I echo everything that Elaine said before us. I'm here because I'm the middle generation of 5 generations of a founding family of this community. Our family name is on the wall out in the lobby because we've not only been financial supporters, it's because we're patrons, and we've been raised to know that this is a place that is an institution in our community. I'm appalled when I think of what I've gone through the last few days thinking about this. We've raised our children with the belief that the building, all of its resources, the staff that works here, everything that happens here under the guise of public library is to be respected, because it's the role of this institution in civilization. We were taught it's the bastion of free speech. It's the safe place where we can come to pursue knowledge, we explore ourselves, and we explore the big wide world outside of West Bend and Washington County. A purpose of the library, it's on your own homepage, is to encourage and promote literacy, because it brings together the community members of all walks of life, all ages. You're representative of that on this board, or we should be. And what we read and what we experience within this institution allows us to grow as individuals and in humanity. It's my understanding that this project was approved to be undertaken by these 4 young people as part of their personal journey and exploration, and that it was promised to be displayed here. Why did you step back from that decision? I'd appreciate it if that specific question were recorded in your minutes tonight, and your reply to that specific question were also recorded and shared with the public at large. Why did you step back from that decision? The art piece says, being honest is the best truth. It's time for honesty, it's time for truth. And both of those things say we need to respect all of our community. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service on our board.
Thank you. Okay, since this was public comment, there is nothing we can talk about this now because it is not on our agenda. So it would have to be something that will be scheduled on a later agenda per Robert's rule. So thank you very much. You're welcome to stay. Moving on to number 3, we have our financial reports and fund balance update. Joseph?
Yes, we had some checks going out, $1.77 of interest coming in,
Wait, I gotta get my sheet.
and that was it.
Okay, I have some questions in regards to the financials. You said the county money, some of the county money has been distributed.
Some of the county money has been distributed. We received a couple of checks from the Act 420, the outside of our.
How did that go, the Act 420 funding? Did we,
Did we gain or lose?
yeah,
I don't know the
We
exact
gained
number.
this, yeah, for this year, right, it's every other year that the money comes in, so the money we're getting in this year was actually calculated last year.
so that was from the
From, based off the 2019 data.
2019, so that
And
was the start of
from
the-
what I recall, that was probably one of the highest intakes we've ever had in that regard. It was, I want to say the total, with all 4 of the counties that we deal with, probably around $19,000 total we should be getting back from them in the aggregate. We normally do probably 12, 13. Next year will not be that amount.
No.
We've already calculated for next year's intake, and it's definitely back to where it used to be for the most part. So it was just an unusual year, partly because in, we had the
Well, we had the
we had the
COVID,
COVID thing, so everything got skewed in one way or another, and that's just how that worked.
and we opened up sooner than a lot
Right,
of the others.
right. So yeah, so this was one of the better years in that regard.
Okay, I will have a few pieces of discussion in regards to our operating expense, but I think we'll have to get to Carrie to get some
Yes.
answers before we can talk about my questions.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay. Financial, public companies over. Library director's report.
Never mind. We're working on the SWOT analysis for a strategic plan, and if anybody wants to have input in that, I can share that document with you, or you can come meet me, look it over, then add whatever you think is important. I was planning to bring it tonight, but there's so much else on our board, I thought, or our packet, I thought we'd leave that out.
Okay.
Emily and I will be out of the office next week for the PLA conference. And hopefully we'll have some good ideas when we come back. We'll be well
How many
rested.
days is that?
That is Tuesday through Friday. I'm not looking forward to the plane trip. So,
Oh, yeah.
Where is it?
it's important.
Oh, wow, it's a lot.
Bless you.
The Friends of the Library are continuing to grow, and I do have, if you want one of these for some of your friends, the new membership form is available up on the counter there, or some in the library.
Remember, that was a task that Joanne gave us all last month.
Yeah.
That's more.
So,
Oh,
it is,
I miss one meeting, I miss all the stuff.
yeah. The other things we're looking at is in our strategic planning is we've been looking at the library space, how to use it best, and we've determined that our first step is going to be through weeding the collection, getting rid of the things that are not circulating or are outdated or just gross. And then we'll review what we need to fill in, gaps we're missing, and see what we need for collection that serves the needs of the community without being overly burdensome as far as shelving is concerned.
Okay.
And window washing is scheduled for Thursday and Friday this week. That's a big deal. First time
And
in
is that
20
inside
years.
and outside?
Inside and outside.
Okay, first time in 20 years, good.
Yeah. You can see the camera click on display through the end of the month. The next display is the Optimist Art Show, so that should be coming in next month. I don't know if there's a theme, but youth art fun. And then I did give some background and information there that you can read on your own. I don't think we need to review at this point.
Okay. Okay. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to the Library Board President's Report. The only thing I have to say is Joseph received the document asking for payment for his bond. So we need to approve the bond for our finance person. And what is the cost? Did it go up from last
It
year?
is $336. I
That's
don't,
pretty close to what
yeah, I
it was
don't think
last
it was
year.
that much higher,
A
maybe a
couple
little
dollars
bit.
off, yeah.
336,
Mhm.
okay. Any questions for Joseph on the bond? What company is that?
Well, it's through Richard's Insurance
Okay,
Investment.
that's who it's been
Yep.
moving through. Okay. Any questions? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
Oh, first.
Second,
We have a first by Kara.
second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of approving the financial cost for the bonding, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, the next item is the collection, agenda items for consideration. The collection and equipment and art exhibit program policy.
I reviewed both these policies, and I think we can actually eliminate both policies. The only thing in the collection and equipment policy that I would maintain is the fees, and that is something we can set at the budget each year. We budget what we're going to collect for late fees and copies. So those are the valuable parts that I found in the collection and equipment policy, so we don't really need to have a policy for that. The art exhibit policy, program policy, is really, after I reviewed it, looks like it's just reiterating the displays policy. And our display is display of art or whatever comes to the library or these kinds of display. So I thought that was an unnecessary policy. So that's those two. So my recommendation would be to eliminate those policies.
The collections and equipment policy and the arts and display,
Yeah,
to eliminate them, and they'll be replaced by
the display
the new
policies.
display policy.
Yeah. Which is simpler.
Very much so. Where will we be posting, like the fines and stuff like that? Maybe on our
The
website?
findings will be on the website, yes. Yes. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. And we haven't changed the fines for a while.
No, I know we haven't. yeah.
Other than we no longer have CD-ROMs, and so that was one we would have to eliminate.
Opposed.
And puzzles, we don't circulate them, we have a
Exchange.
exchange, thanks.
I used it.
Yeah. And then we did reduce the fines for DVDs last year, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So the new policy, you want to walk us through the major changes?
The new displays policy, my copy is where, it's just a lot of getting rid of extra verbiage. The purpose stays the same, essentially. It's, instead of being that we're making a space available, it is curated by the West Bend Community Memorial Library. And it's to collaborate with the community and share art information and experiences. That does make a slight change, that the library's responsibility changes in a way, that we are selecting items more vividly. We're doing that in this policy, rather than just saying you can put up whatever you want. The intent is still to share culture, art, information, history, and experiences. We just cleaned that up a little bit. We didn't change anything with inspection. I recall. And we just tidied up the bits. Thanks. That helps a lot.
Oh, the old one, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot removed from the old policy that you had given us. A lot of irrelevant information, I think, had been in that old policy.
As librarians, we like a lot of words sometimes, and it's just easier for us and for the people reading the policy to get to the point.
Any questions for Steve on the proposed draft and the elimination of the two obsolete policies?
Nope.
No? No?
Did we do a motion on the last meeting?
Oh,
Should
I
we
was
do them
gonna-
Separately, or?
We can do them separately,
Yeah, 'cause we
Okay.
did this.
but we
two-
can do the discussion.
as
as
one.
a-
That's right.
Okay, if no discussion, I would like to ask for a motion to eliminate the collection and equipment and also the art exhibit policies.
I'll motion.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the display policy, the new display policy that Steve has drafted, I'll call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the new display policy as written.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Karen? Any further discussion?
I think you did a good job to kind of simplify it. You know, doesn't really change what the policy is, it just kind of condenses it to make less wordy, more sense, so, good job.
I think that a one pager is easiest. Some policies need to be rich. but
You've been doing good on that, though,
Yeah.
cleaning up some of the
Less is more.
wordy, yeah.
Less is more, easy to understand for all
Yeah.
parties. You don't have to go back and refer to different parts of the policy.
Right. We have a motion and a second, all in favor of approving the policy? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Story room updates.
All right, so you have hopefully received the information from the two companies that provided a proposal. The one proposal is from 2019, and that went up above what our proposal from ESI Smart Spaces. They're the company that did this room for us, so it'd be very similar to this, except they wouldn't have the meeting conferencing, we wouldn't have the camera. Could be added at a future time, but it would be set up more for movies and things that could be done in the children's.
So we wouldn't have the camera for projection?
Actually, we would have a projector in that room
Okay, but not a
rather than
camera.
a flat panel like this.
Okay.
But we wouldn't have the camera to share the room with the public at this
Yeah,
time.
and that's,
Because we have this space and we haven't had a lot of demand for this space as it stands, so I figured we don't need to have another virtual meeting room. So it really is apples to apples between the two companies. But my recommendation is to do the AV upgrades to the room. The sound echoing in that room is still a concern. and
will this correct any of that?
This will not correct that.
Okay.
We will be looking at carpeting, as a change of carpeting might make a difference.
Is there carpeting in there now?
There's carpeting right now, but it's a carpeting that acts as a hard surface.
Okay.
So it does bounce sound just like a hard surface would. It's cleanable, which is nice, but it bounces sound. We did have a couple of carpet samples, if you want to look at them, they're in that room, we can pull those out sometime if you stop by. We'll probably have to get more character, we just make a decision really about what goes on in the story room. Didn't really care for the last option that she was showing, so we might look at some other vendors or some other styles of carpet.
Aside from the carpet, what are the other options to alleviate the sound
The
issue?
sound issue?
Is it insulation, is it?
Yeah. We did get a quote for, we didn't get a quote, we did get a report that indicated we should have foam sprayed on the ceiling and down the sides of the walls. And I can't remember exactly if it was 3 inches or 6 inches, but it was a lot of foam that would need to be sprayed in there. They sent a vendor to come and look at it, and then we heard nothing. And that is very common these days with contractors, that we might still be on their list, we might hear from them at the end of the year, we might never hear from them again.
What type of foam?
It is acoustical foam, so there is some acoustical foam in there right
It's
now.
a sound barrier.
And what it does is it does absorb the sound, and what we have is a bass issue in that room. So There's the options are the spray foam, and then they said that would solve the problem, it would make it a very quiet room. We have to determine how quiet does it need to be workable for meetings. So I do have some old quilts around here I might hang up there just to temporarily see if it alleviates some sound issues. And we can look at that as an option in the future. But the sound deadening, from what the expert said, is it needs to be about an inch away from the wall. So we'll have to try that out and see if that.
So things would have to be hung an inch away from the wall in
Yeah,
order to
for-
deaden it, to give it a barrier between?
Yeah. So
You could do like a panel, correct?
Yeah.
So that you have an airspace
Yeah.
between the wall and the panel.
Right.
It'd be like
So that the
a
air-
long
or the sound gets
rod to
trapped.
hang the
Yeah.
particular items down.
Yeah.
So you said as far as the AV part, obviously that's not going to eliminate this other issue that we'll have to deal with at some other point. Between this is the apples to apples. Is the apples to apples as far as effectiveness, quality, price?
Yeah. The other thing is, the smart spaces did come in a little bit under the other vendor, but they did guarantee that it could get done this year. The other vendor was not sure with supply chain issues. They don't have the same kind of stock that smart spaces would have as files.
So Smart Space guarantees it this year and it's cheaper?
Yes.
And where are we getting is this in the budget?
I believe we have the funds in the budget. We don't have the audit done yet. So we won't know until the audit's complete.
That should be complete. The city audit of funds normally is April,
Yeah, I haven't been made aware of that.
that it's done yet.
Yeah, it'll be by our next meeting, we should have the audit complete, so we'll know
Okay.
for sure. We had money in the budget last year. This is one of the projects that I started working on last year, to use up funds that we were going to, that we had rolled over from the
Right.
previous year. And just the timeline, the way things roll,
Yeah.
that's why it's coming up now, as we finally got the proposals.
We actually still are sitting on about 11.5 from last year that's sitting in the fund balance. So we do have a good start on the dollar amount.
Yeah.
Now this, did you go out for bids?
I got the two,
Just the two bids?
and I don't know if we're gonna be able to get a third, that we can try for
It's
another one.
probably not, that's,
And they are close, as it,
Mhm.
as it stands.
Right.
Just getting hold of people is hard. I would say designate the funds, if you want to approve it tonight, designate the funds for the strategic plan. And should we have the money in the budget, we just use the budgeted funds that are rolled into this year.
but if we designate it, then we can start it in motion
Yeah,
and get it on their schedule.
and if we don't use the strategic plan funds for this project, that's fine.
Yeah,
So I would have it in the motion mode. To do that, we don't have to use those funds if we have funds in the budget to do it.
any questions? Tim, do you have any questions? He usually has questions.
No, I like the project. I think it's a good thing to do for that space. It'll provide some flexibility in there, and it gets that projector off of a cart and mounted in the ceiling so it's out of the way. So I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Anyone else have any observations or questions? If not, would someone like to make a motion to approve? That would be through Metro Sound?
No, this is the
No, the
Smart space.
Smart
Smart
Space,
spaces.
okay.
They can guarantee
So it'd
you're
be
gonna
the
get
smart,
it.
Yeah.
I'm
Smart space is gonna guarantee it'll be installed
installed
this
this
year.
This
year.
year,
Yeah,
and then a little
and that's,
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the project as proposed with Smart Space.
Thank you, Joanne. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Yes. Any further discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And we would move
Aye.
the funds out of strategic plan and the 11,000. Okay, our next meeting is April 19th. That's the week of Easter, so just so people know. And task lists from last month. Joanne, you had asked all of us to join the Friends. So I did turn in my sheet to Joseph today, and Steve has brought additional copies of the Friends for the rest of the board members to sign. Okay?
I'll grab one.
Thank you very much. And if it isn't, if you haven't joined yet, then I request that you please keep it on the task list.
Okay. Okay. Task list. Jess, nothing? Just
No,
that?
Just following up with Carrie, possibly.
We'll follow up with Carrie on the dollars. Probably follow up to find out if when the audit will be complete. Okay, and we'll leave the Friends task on also. With that, we are adjourned.